Hey everybody, this is Vince for Art, and I've noticed something a lot, very weird. Uh, that many artists, whether intermediate or beginners, they do whenever they go to straight into to shading or highlighting, and that's how can I put this? When it goes to shading, what people will do, they'll probably go directly straight to black, and then they'll go and shade it in. Not necessarily bad, but it's kind of flat. Even when you consider giving it a rim light. It's all right, but it's not aesthetically pleasing when you look at it. Instead of as a suggestion, this is all up to you really. As a suggestion, as instead of doing going straight to black, because one thing that as an artist, as a digital artist, you want to keep in mind is that you probably like extreme black and white. You'd want to stay very clear of those. Use those at not so much. What you could do, you have the color picked, and you don't just change. You don't just change the value. You tweak the hue a bit, and then you go a bit lighter. Now see, you have sort of like a better shadow. Or I mean, lack of a better word, you have a more convincing shadow. It actually seems like the shadow ought to be there. Makes it looks more solid. And you could tweak it as much as you want and probably give it even a deeper shadow. The name of the game is subtlety. You want to give it a subtle change from the light. Another thing that I've noticed with people who do it, now with shine, there's a different issue, but still, I've noticed people who sometimes go straight to almost with their values, almost bleaching the color, almost bleaching the colors, and I'm gonna say straight up, I'm sorry, guys, but that does not. It doesn't look. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. I've seen people who like it just. It seems like you erased um a color from a ball, so it doesn't look too aesthetically pleasing. It's almost bleaching the color, and they tend to make a huge area out of it. It's kind of hard to do that and have it make it look like an actual three-dimensional shape or figure. I mean, the shading, the shine, and the shading are there, but it doesn't seem to feel whole when you go that route. And then I've seen people where people would always go to screen or even Lumosity. I'm using Manga Studios, so the addition the equivalent of Paint Tool and Lumosity or Photoshop linear layer is add glow, and that just doesn't look right. It just not at all. Here, another way of pulling this off. Take the color, as I said before, the same shadow. You tweak the hue and very gradually up the saturation and the value. And now you have, try to be subtle with it. You keep tweaking it till you find something that works. And it actually looks like a light. Get rid of these shadows just to give you an idea. And these are colors for like it's a skin tone, and that could be, and that's just subtle. You want to be extremely subtle as possible. If you're not too big on, if you still don't know like how to tweak colors like that, a good way is probably the screen. You could use the screen. Like I said, the screen is nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with using the screen. But you just gotta know how much to use it. The same with a lumosity layer, or in my case to add glow. You want to be completely subtle. Like you add that shine. Nice shine. Another example that I'll show you some practices where I did this. I used only 2 layers, but I knew what I was working with. You have your base colors, and subtly with a brush tool, I think I used the something wet and soluble, like a watercolor brush, something that it's able to spread easily. I made it look like, it's sort of like when skin that's been covered by baby oil, something like that, and it almost looked like it has a glossy texture over it. And noticed my ad layer, you don't and this is a quick tip, you don't necessarily have to have the luminosity layer on a full 100%. You could easily dim the opacity. I have this at 64, but if at 100, it looks better. But just to make it more subtle and not to be overpowering, I got it at 64. Let's look at another. I was playing with the stars. This is, you got dark, and it's big tip. If you're gonna be coloring, if you're gonna be starting, if you're one of those artists who starts out with flats, you might want to start with a minute. Your base color or your flats should be pretty minute. Should be pretty mute. A very mute color, so that way it's easy for you to build up on shines, on highlights or shines. Because if you think about it, when a light is hitting an object, it's really, you're not, damn. When a light is hitting the object, it's not adding shadow. It's adding light. So when it adds light, so a shadow is a result of piece of the part of the object that's not being hit by light. You don't add a shadow. Think of it like that. So with that being said, the light is added. More light. Light is just being added to this object, to this round circle, to this sphere. The reason that shadows even existing to begin with is because they're not being hit by it. I did that for fun. Now you have this one, pretty much same principle. You have your very, and if you're working with something like that seems like almost very bleached, like a very bleached color, like a very pale skin, that's where white can sometimes be your best friend, glow. But again, it's knowing how much luminosity or glow you add to it. If this was at a full 100, that's what it would look like. But keeping it at a very manageable opacity, and it doesn't even have to be 10, it could be 20, but I needed to hide my brush movements. And then add a screen, and screen could just be the shine. It doesn't, that could be the hot spot. Just to give you an idea, pay attention to this, you just pay attention to this, and you see how these change as I move it across. Same way with this, base color, it just jumped around like that. You saw how big of a jump that, how big it slid, the hue slid. For a better idea, look here. Everything ends up changing. This is a more complicated one to explain. You just have something, it's like very, almost as if it's like a gelatin, like a jello square that you have for dessert. You just make sure it's something to tweak with. And also you have to make sure that it kind of works with a specific type of brush. I have a flat brush that I created to help me with that. Like different flat brush, one of different intensities. And then you add in and you can use these layer settings, which are very helpful. Not knocking anybody to use it, but if you're going to use it, you have to know how to use it. And you have to know how you're going to how it's going to affect your piece. So that's my tips. Those are my tips. And see you later. Take care.